Hey there YouTube, welcome to the Montana Garage. Today we're going to talk about how to clean out your rusty gas tank. All right, I peeked in there and there's definitely, I can't show you on the camera, but right inside the hole, probably kind of in the low spot of the tank, there's a whole bunch of crud that I'm going to try to scrape off using my screwdriver. It's not really little, but let's see if we can get a little more out of there and get a little reach. This guy. All right, see, I just spent some time wire wheel on the outside of this, see if I can throw some paint on it. Let's see if we can get anything to dump out of here. It's been a chance to dry out and stuff. I don't know if it'll come out, but there we go. Alright, so all that was inside the gas tank. There's still more in there. That was just what came loose from moving it around and wire wheeling on it and stuff. I stuck a screwdriver in here and scraped a big gob that was right there. So inside of the tank is a lot like that. So there's just some rust and some scale, and we're going to clean it out. And how we're going to do that is with some muriatic acid. You can see that in the sun there. This is just from the local hardware store. It's nothing special. You don't have to be anybody licensed to buy it. It says it's for cleaning pools and spas and preparing concrete to coating and sealing, and etches concrete. Say I just bought it at the Ace Hardware or whatnot. It's like $7 per gallon. That should be plenty to do what we got to do. I did the same thing when we cleaned out. We had to clean both tanks in the square body, and it worked like a charm. So we're going to show you how we do it. All right, so I've done what I can with scraping. Now we're going to add some acid. I do got some rubber gloves on. This stuff isn't super bad, but I don't think you want to get too much of it on you. Probably could have used a funnel. That would have helped. As you can see, it looks just like water as it goes in. We'll dump it out after a while and you'll see all the rust that's taken out of there. Just really need enough to cover each surface, and then I'm not going to fill the whole tank up. There's ways for it to leak out anyways if I do that, but I'm just going to cover the surface, let it sit for a while, rotate it. I'll have to plug the holes somehow so that it can do its magic on each side for, I don't know, 10-15 minutes each side. Let's see what that does. I'm going to go ahead and use the whole gallon. Take a peek in there with my light and see if I can tell if it's covering the whole bottom. It should be.
It does put off a little bit of a odor too, so you don't want to breathe that in, I don't imagine. Alright, looks like it's working its magic already.
We'll let her sit. Alright, so I dumped a gallon of muriatic acid inside the tank, and we're letting it kind of, you know, cook or bake or soak or whatever you want to call it. It's doing its thing, and every 10 minutes we'll kind of rotate it. I put the whole gallon in there, it covers the bottom, so I will kind of, you know, I'll have to plug the holes and then I'll set it on its side and then on the back, and I'll have to find a way to hopefully hold the acid in when I do the bottom side where it's going to want to come out, you know, the filler neck and the sending unit area. But we're just going to let it work its magic, about 10 minutes each side. We'll dump it out and see all the crud that came out of there, and then we'll spray some water in there to kind of try to clean it out a little bit, and then get some gas in there to try to get rid of the water, and then hopefully we'll be good to go and put it back together. So we'll bring you back and show you how it's working. So here's the sending unit and whatnot. This stuff, I'm not an expert, but this looks like aluminum to me. This might be some sort of brass or copper, the float, I don't know. Whatever, it's, I didn't want to throw it in the acid, so I'm just going to scrub this with like some brake clean and whatnot and see if we can't get her cleaned up a little better too. This is the little filter that goes on the end of the pickup there, and I just tipped it over. I don't hope I didn't tip it all out already, but must have tipped most of it out, but that was all full of crud too. I'm sure I could probably get a new one of those, but we'll just try to clean it up and jam her back on there. All right, while I'm letting the tank soak with the acid, I'm going to try to clean this bad boy up with just some brake clean. Rinse this off and probably call that good enough. Alright, all that stuff looks a heck of a lot better. I think I'll hook the, I think I can hook a ohm meter up to this somehow and see if this is changing the resistance to see if it's working right, because my gas gauge isn't working. I'm hoping it's just the gauge. Let's see if we can figure that out. Alright, it's been about 10 minutes. I'm just going to rotate it, set it up on its side. Try to take a peek in there and see how it's looking. The only hole I got over here is this one. I stuck a little brass plug in there, so hopefully that's enough. I don't think it's going to get that deep anyways. Careful not to breathe that stuff. That's pretty nasty. Looks like she's loosening it up, so we'll set it like that for a while now. So far, so good. Alright, so a little time has gone by. I've let it soak 10, 15, 20 minutes. I've been busy doing other stuff on each side. dump it out here and see what it looks like. Alright, so I poured that into my aluminum pan, and I don't think you're supposed to get this stuff on aluminum. Obviously it didn't blow up or nothing, but turned it all black. But you can see it was nasty looking when it came out of there. Now we'll rinse it out with some water. Kind of get away from the camera there, but we're just flushing it out with some water, filling up with water. Alright, so I rinsed it out with water, and I went ahead and I have a pressure washer, so I went ahead and pressure washed out the inside. It made a little difference. It didn't do that much, so if you don't have a pressure washer, maybe not be necessary, but you can always run down to the car wash or whatever. I don't know how good you can see in here. Some spots look like pretty new metal, and some spots still have a little thin, just kind of a rust color. But I think we're gonna call that pretty darn good, actually. You know, there's none of that stuff is like flaky or anything. So hopefully that's going to be good enough. So I'll stick my air hose in there and try to blow it out a little bit, but I'm never going to get all that water out of there. So I'll dump a little bit of gas in there and then swish that around and then dump that out. And then, I don't know, I'm probably not going to have time to put this back together and get gas in it tonight. So I may dump a little bit of oil in there and just kind of slosh that around, and hopefully that'll coat it to keep any kind of flash rust from happening. So yeah, we're getting there. All right, I lost a few steps because my GoPro battery died, which tends to happen. I need to get more of those. But I got it mostly cleaned, or I got it cleaned out. And you saw me earlier wire wheeling, so I'm going to, before I put it back in the car, I'm going to paint it. And it's not because I'm overly concerned about what it looks like, but there's a lot of bare metal. This is the bottom side that had some undercoating on it. I don't know if any new paint's going to stick to that. I just wire wheeled the whole thing. I sprayed it with like some wax and grease remover. And it's dry in here, and then the top side is mostly bare metal. So I'm gonna mist it with some etch primer, and then just throw some, I got some of that like chassis black stuff, and let that set overnight, and hopefully tomorrow we can put it back in the car over there.